Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back for another card review. So this won't be any foreign news to you anymore, right? So if you guys haven't heard of it, Egyptian Gods is gonna finally obtain its virtual rebirth. Right, so in this video we're gonna talk about virtual rebirth Egyptian Gods and actually how good are they after virtual rebirth. Right, so let's take a look. Alright, so before I talk about more of its active skill, right, both refined and divergent form, let's take a look at the material required for you to virtual rebirth these Egyptian Gods. So you can power virtual rebirth it using duplicates of whatever form it is, be it the most basic form of Egyptian Gods, the evolved version or the power release version. If you do not have duplicates, you can virtual rebirth it using 3 power release material and 2 honeymoons. So in my opinion, I feel that the materials needed for virtual rebirth in this case is going to be varied because Egyptian Gods have a few races, right? Like for example, if you take a look at Tefnut, Tefnut is a beast, so in this case it's going to be using 3 cryptids, and then for Seth it's a dragon type and it's going to be using 3 mosasaurs instead, right? So for Osiris is going to be using 3 Honor. So all this I'm not going to really explain because it's really based on what race the Egyptian God is and then the materials required to actually virtual rebirth them. Right, so let's take a look at what's improved for refined version of Egyptian Gods. Right, so on the screen now shows the refinement version of Egyptian Gods, right, for active skill as well as the leader skill, and on the right side is the current power release version of Tefnut. Right, so we're just gonna look at Tefnut because it's basically the same for Seth, Shu, Ra, and Osiris. Right, just that they are of different attributes and they target like different attributes of mobs as well. Right, so Tefnut, let's take a look. We have a refinement version leader skill, which is water attack increased to 5.5 times for fire and dark mobs. Right, so previously, as you can take a look at the leader skill of the current one, there is no multiplier actually stated in the leader. Right, so now we know that by virtual rebirth it gets a 5.5 times damage on fire and dark mobs, which is pretty massive. Right, so other than that, basically why Egyptian is actually falling out of the meta is because they are so specific. Unless the stage is running on a 1 attribute, a stage where it runs only 1 attribute as the mobs, right, you can't use Egyptian Gods at all. Right, so now we have a 5.5 times multiplier to fire and dark, and for other attribute it is at 3.5 times. So actually you can actually use it as a proper leader now. Right, so on top of all those multipliers, you also get a damage reduction of 25% against fire and dark mobs. Right, so for other attributes it's basically the same, just that it's targeting different attributes. So for Seth, for example, you can see that it is against fire and earth, and then for Shu, which is the earth Egyptian, it is against water and light, and then so on and so forth. Right, so you can see it's definitely a change, a quality of life change for its leader skill, making it more versatile now and can actually take on more stages than usual. Right, so let's take a look at its active skill. So for the PR version, you can see explode all non-water runes to deal water damage to all enemies and increase water attack to the max ×2 if 25 runestones are exploded. Right, so one thing to take note is that 25 runestones is literally almost the entire board, right? So the whole board consists of 30 runes, so 25 is basically the whole board, you know what I mean? Right, so for the refinement version active skill, right, other than exploding the whole board, it converts the current water runes on the board into enchanted water. Right, so this is going to be a slight improvement in the active skill. Right, so on top of that, dissolve non-water and then dealing water damage, these have no difference. And other than that, it gives the maximum multiplier when you explode 20 runestones instead of 25 runestones. So this is a a change, a quality of life change, right? So that you can actually get the multiplier, the maximum multiplier slightly easier. Right, so on top of that, other than having increase in water attack ×2, you get an increase in recovery ×2 as well. Right, so this is going to be quite situational, right? So by exploding the whole board, leaving only water runes, there is a chance that you might not get hard runes as sky drop after that, right? So it defeats the purpose of having this ×2 recovery buff in the active skill, right? Just an opinion, right? So on top of that, if you're running maybe Tefnut, Shu, or Seth, or Ra even, right? These are beast and dragon types which have rather just okay kind of recovery. So by running a ×2 recovery, that might not do a lot of difference, right? But in terms of offensive setup, it is definitely way better than its power release version, right? So in terms of the overall situation after Virtual Rebirth, I find that this is definitely going to bring Egyptian back into the game. So I highly suggest you guys to Virtual Rebirth whatever Egyptian gods that you have. Right, so we are not done with the video. We still have the Divergence version of this Egyptian gods. Right, so for the Divergence version, this is definitely the game changer, guys. Right, so this is why we should have this Virtual Rebirth Egyptian gods. And so Divergent form, their CD has been reduced all the way to CD 5, and then as usual, I'm just going to talk about Tefnut skill, and you can refer to Seth, Shu, Ra, and Osiris accordingly, because their active skill is basically the same, just that the convert and their conversion and stuff is just according to its own attribute. Let's so Tefnut convert 3 random runes into enchanted water runes. So basically here, 3 random runes means that there's a chance of converting away hard runes as well, so this you have to take note of that. Upon skill activation, when all enemies are of fire attribute, water attack increase against the fire enemies for 1 round. So basically, if you are already running advantageous attribute against that stage, right, by activating this Tefnut, you get a slight convert of runes for that offense, for that offensive burst, as well as you get this bonus buff against the fire enemies that you're facing. Right, so what if the enemy is not of fire attribute? It will be converted into fire, right, in which that you have this advantage against this mob as well. Right, so there are times that the boss is actually of fire attribute, so you want to bring like a water mob, for example Tefnut, right? And then in between, Madhead will throw in like a earth mob to kind of slow down your progress, or kind of do some stuff that actually put water team in a difficult spot. So this is where you can actually use Divergent Tefnut to convert the water mob into fire and then burst it down straight away. Right, so one thing that is really massive is CD5. Right, so CD5 with a convert of attribute, this is really gonna be game changing. Right, so CD5 is very short compared to Magni and Mogni, which is twice the CD at CD10, which converts 1 turn of its respective attribute as well. Right, so the only difference is that it massively increased damage, and then this one just basically changes the enemy's attribute into whatever attributes that you are actually using. Right, so in my opinion, I feel that the change of attribute is good enough for you to counter most stage out there. Right, so this is gonna be massive, and I can't wait to use this Egyptian Divergence in the future. Alright, so that's it for the card reviews for Egyptian gods. Right, so you can see that there is a massive change for Egyptian, and then they are definitely going to be back. They are not going to be situational cards anymore. They are going to be legit leaders, team leaders out there. Right, so I'll be expecting a lot of VR Egyptians as adjunctants or allies on my friend list very soon. Right, so as you can see on the screen now, that's the artwork for Divergent Shu, Seth, Divergent Seth, as well as Divergent Osiris. Right, so can't wait for the other 3 artwork to be out. And then as usual, this is going to be card review for the Egyptian gods. Right, so if you like this card review, do leave it a like, and then as usual, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye.